Today we're looking at the Inferno Tower, a compact utility-focused base designed for the solo to the 4-man. With every angle covered, nobody's going to want to even get near your base, and if they do, you'll be ready to make them quickly regret it. With easy mobility, tons of storage, and plenty of utility, this base lets you take care of any depots and cooking, and get right back into the action. And in an effort to do things quickly, let's get into the build. Alright, let's build the Inferno Tower. We're going to start off with a square foundation, placing it at a height that you've got these corner stilt pieces nice and above the ground like so. You don't have to go quite as high as I did, but I do like to make sure I'm going to have room for later when I do upgrade and expand, because of course the goal is always to expand to something more. We're starting off with a very simple and basic 2x1. And it shouldn't be too long before your base looks like this. With your main loot secured nicely in the core of your base and your deployables out here, we're ready to start farming to expand the base. Now expanding from here is fairly simple. We're going to start off with a square here, and then we are going to do our triangle, at least this one right here. But I do like to use this opportunity to at least get the foundations upgraded. This does partially secure your area as well as get you that honeycomb done a lot sooner, which I do think is something important to have done on your base. From here, we're going to go ahead and add walls all the way around. Close this off here. Place a half wall. Destroy half wall. And there we go. We've got our jump up to the next floor. We are, of course, going to want to close that off really quickly. And of course add a door to it. Now here you will eventually need a garage door to go up and down, but until then you can leave it open. And down here you will be placing your refinery. Now of course this base is designed for you to be able to go about your wipe until you have it, but once you do have it, you'll be able to very easily place it right here. As you can see, I've got plenty of clearance room, and you can have it placed as close to as that ring right there, but any lower and it will give you complications. Now, of course, if you didn't think you needed a refinery, you can actually beef your security a little bit by using this as just a regular foundation instead. But screw that, I'd rather have a refinery. Now, the reason I say it does cost you security is it does mean you have to upgrade this foundation and this wall to high qual a little sooner to get the same security effects, as someone blowing through the honeycomb foundations would get a little bit easier of a path until you upgrade to high qual. That said, I think the utility of having a refinery in your base is a lot more than the small security that it does cost you. From here, we are going to start upgrading our honeycomb. Preferably don't trap yourself inside of it. And you'll do that by simply going all the way around and filling in all of the honeycomb. Once we've got all our honeycomb filled in, we're going to go to our door here. And looking this way, you're going to run and jump down here. Place a raised foundation here. And a roof piece. You are going to want to upgrade these so that nobody destroys them. Additionally, you should definitely put this wall here to get rid of that camping point. Up here, we're going to add a door, and you're going to simply doorway your way over to here, and then we're going to close this in, and we're going to close there. For over here, we're going to start by just doing this and closing this in. Now, the reason we left this open like that is because you do have a couple choices. You can either use one of them as a loot room by closing it off like so. You'd have a nice little loot room that you can add a double door or a window to. But my preferred method, and what I'm going to be doing today, is going to be a locker here and my furnaces here. Now, if you place your window right away, you are going to have difficulties with the locker, but it is not impossible. But I'm going to go ahead and fill those in. On this side here, we're going to create a shelf. And we're going to actually carry that shelf over into this room as well. Make sure you place your doorways. And we're going to work our way downstairs. At this point, you should definitely replace this door with metal. But we're coming over here to add a shelf. Now, this shelf is going to have boxes placed just like we did down there. So that'll look like so. And you can actually get a small box in there as well. but I do like this as a configuration in general. You can also add yourself a locker here, and you will eventually be putting your tier 3 down here. Now, one thing that's important is upgrading all of this down here. Now, you'll notice in addition to the walls and the roof pieces, I've actually upgraded these foundations as well. That means they are gonna stick out like a sore thumb unless you upgrade all of your foundations. That's something definitely worth thinking about, as it could cost you quite a bit. But ultimately, I think you should upgrade the foundations anyways, because you do want that extra security. Even if it does mean that that raid path stands out a little bit more early on, I think it's worthwhile to have it filled in, especially because you don't want someone to be able to bypass these walls by just going through the foundations. Now, if you've done this at the proper height, which would actually be a little bit lower than what I've done, destroying this foundation wouldn't matter, as they wouldn't be able to crawl through. There is a perfect height in a mix where it's about here, where they wouldn't be able to crawl through, but you would definitely be able to still place your refinery. And I'll just demonstrate that really quickly. But it is a lot harder to freehand this, and you might run into some issues. So if you're really confident in your placement, you can definitely place it a little bit lower, and that would prevent anyone from being able to come in through the foundations like so, which is a nice security upgrade in my opinion. Of course, they would still have many doors to go through, and especially once we upgrade those to garage or even armored doors, it's not a weakness at all. Coming upstairs, we do have these 2 shelves here. I'm going to remove this door temporarily. And for these, we are going to be filling them out with, of course, our boxes. Jumping up here, we're going to do a standard placement, which is going to be large box, small box, large box, which gives you the room to place 2 more small boxes. If done correctly, you should have plenty of room to still be able to place a door. Over on this side, you have choices to make. This ramp can help add some security and some cost if someone does try to top-down raid you. However, it does sacrifice some placement, so you won't be able to place your boxes like you did in the other room, but you should still be able to manage that. Of course, that placement can get a little annoying at times. Over on this side, we are going to be placing in our Ferni. Jumping into this window, we're going to place it first in the far back corner here, and then you should be able to get these 2 on the side. Now, if you are having trouble placing it, you can always jump in here and place it from the inside, or you can realize that you might have messed up placement in something. The problem is you're not going to be able to get out, so you will have to F1. We're over here. Now, you will remember I said it is a lot harder to place your locker in once you've got the window, but not impossible. And the reason it's not impossible is you can just jump in here, rotate that locker, and place it down. At this point, you can put any of your loot inside the locker and F1 out. Now, you may have noticed I didn't properly fill this out, and that was partially intentionally, so we are going to first close this off. But this one right here is not going to get closed off. While we definitely want to add our doors, we want to be able to go up here, and to do that, we are going to need a ladder hatch. If you've just got a ladder, place your ladder on this wall here and that'll be fine, but ultimately you want a ladder hatch because it does also add that extra security to your front door, allowing you to shoot people outside your door and especially defend in the event of an online raid. From up here, you are going to want to fill out the rest of your honeycomb if you haven't already. And you do want to fill out the inside as well for that rocket support. And once that's done, we can start with our 3rd floor. Now, the 3rd floor is a little special. We're going to start it by first going around the entirety of it with half walls. Then we're going to switch to low walls and go all the way back around. Then you'll find the side with your ladder hatch and look at both sides beside it. From here, we're going to destroy these lower pieces, replace them with low walls, and then upgrade everything. Next, with it all upgraded, we can go and place floor triangles at every side. These are going to act as jump ups for us. Now, once you have your shelf jump ups placed, we're going to go ahead and start placing the frames all around. Now you do have a choice to make here, because you might decide that you'd rather have some storage up here, in which case, instead of doing door frames all around the back over here, we would convert these to instead be actually storage rooms. Now doing so does reduce your mobility a little bit, as you won't really be able to get to that other side except from over here, though this is just meant as a peek. My preferred method of doing this floor is to have it fully open, so we are going to be doing the floor frames or the door frames all the way around. Then we can close this off and place our double doors all the way around. From here, I do like to use garage doors inside here. Next, we're going to grab our lockers, placing a locker on either side. Now, I do personally recommend you lock these lockers, as that's going to make it a lot harder for any raiders to get into multiples. As well, I was also lock the boxes. You're just going to kind of line that up with the locker, giving you room for small boxes as well. And then we're going to place our beds. And you want to make sure the bed is separated into each side. This is going to, again, prevent online raiders from being able to destroy multiple at once, as you will have these garage doors separating everything. This will allow you to quickly respawn and get into the action. And then let us work on the next floor. Up here on the 4th floor, we're going to add our floor frames all the way around. And of course, upgrade those. From this point, we have to place our roof triangles all the way around. Now, they can be a little difficult to place and a little easier to place from the outside. So sometimes when doing these kind of things, I like to build some scaffolding around, as it does make it a lot easier, but you will want to destroy the scaffolding before moving on. Once this is all placed and sealed in, we can go around and upgrade these. And at that point, you've got it. You've got your shooting floor in, and you're very defensible. Using these frames, you can give yourself some different heights if you do need better peaks. It'll also change a variety. It'll also vary whether you're peeking from down here, it'll also change whether you're peeking up here, peeking from here, or peeking down into these. Now we are gearing up towards the end of the base, but we aren't quite done yet. Jumping inside through our airlock, you can see we've now got our tier 2 moved upstairs, a nice mixing table, which also makes access to the furnaces a little easier. I've put the repair bench up here for quick and easy repairs. And coming down here, before we get into that, I am gonna add a box right here. Actually, a box right here, box right here. And this can either be a small box, or you can also use it as a 4th furnace if you feel like the 3 is not enough. And we're just gonna put that down right there. And the reason we leave this left side here open is we're gonna use that as our up and down still. Now, I wouldn't do this shelf if you have trouble with this jump, or if you're a 4-man, because it can get a lot harder to get up and down and you might run into each other. But if you can afford to do the shelf, you do get yourself some extra storage. If you're really good with your placement, you can get a large box in here as well, but it is a bit of a pain. And that's basically the most you should do without impeding your mobility. But it does take care of maximizing your utility out of it. I do highly recommend this mixing table here. It does make entering in your furnaces a lot easier. But let's move on to one important thing, and that's going to be electricity. Currently, we have no turrets and no electricity for this base. So let's make our way outside and take care of that. Coming outside, we're going to come down from our peaks right there. And we're going to place a triangle. And we're going to do that on all 4 sides. Now from here, all of these get built the same way, and depending on your elevation, you might choose to do it lower. But I like the extra security of honeycombing into there, which you can also add honeycombing here. But for now, we're just going to use this as a step up. And to make life a little easier, we're just going to add a temporary roof. This is not staying. We're going to place this. And there we go. The little turret pods. From here, you're gonna place your pew pew machine right here. We're gonna add some fences, and you'll notice that you can still very easily access that turret. From here, we're gonna toss in a spare gun, and we're gonna run that power inside. Now, of course, you've got nowhere to really run it to yet, so let's take care of that. Starting off, we're gonna place our switch down here. This is not gonna get in the way, and like everything else, it's gonna be protected in this one little room back here. From there, we're gonna place E branches. Some people say just go straight for the splitter. I like my E branches. There we go. We're gonna make sure each one is set to 10 power and connect them. And then once that's done, we can run it to our turrets. And it's that easy to get your turret set up. From there, all you gotta do is run inside, flick that switch, and you've got instant door protection. Now, some of you might have noticed we don't exactly have a way to power your turrets. Now, you do have a couple options, and because it is only 4 turrets, you could still power these with solar panels. Placing your solar panels on top of your turrets, easily powering them. However, a lot easier than that is to ladder up to the roof, and from here, we're gonna build up. Now, I do recommend doing so by using these frames. This is gonna not interfere with your shooting abilities, allowing you to still peek through. And we're simply gonna build frames up. I don't recommend going up more than 4, as you do start to run into issues where your wire for your windmill might not reach all the way down. But with this configuration, you can easily have up to 4 windmills, though you really shouldn't need more than 2. If you are even using a second windmill, it would be because you are likely using interior turrets or even SAM sites, in which case you would just do 2 SAM sites in the corners and 2 windmills in the corners. You definitely shouldn't need more than 1 windmill, as you are only powering 4 turrets. But if you do want additional turrets, or you do want to add some SAM sites, you can very easily do so by just building up in the other corners. This will also make it a lot harder for any raiders to take out your electricity, as they wouldn't know which one they have to hit. Of course, any extra batteries, simply line them up over here, or you can add some lockers there as well. Now, coming upstairs, we're gonna go over to our shooting floor, as there are a couple final notes. One, garage door is gonna make moving through here so much easier, and if you can fill this entirely out with garage doors, your life will be so much easier. The second is that you can increase your defense and your visibility by spending some metal. If you have the ability to, switching everything to metal will take up slightly less room than its stone counterpart. This means it'll give you slightly better peaks and a little bit more vision by simply changing it over to metal. It's not much of a difference, but there is more visibility, and in my opinion, it's definitely worth switching to metal. It'll also mean the cost to raid you with an MLRS or rocketing top down becomes a lot higher. Of course, because that is a heavy metal investment, not everybody's going to make that choice. But like I said, it will give you more visibility and make defending your base a lot easier. The actual frames themselves here really don't give you too much more, but it does open up a little bit of extra movement, a little bit of extra room, and make it just a little bit better. Again, that is going to be a personal choice. If you have the metal to spare, why not, is basically my thought. However, honestly, I wouldn't just stop at the tip, and I would upgrade the entire thing to metal, and especially this 2x2 core in here. This, in my opinion, should all be upgraded to high qual if you plan on staying in this base later into the wipe. And that's it. The final cost, as well as the upkeep, are on the screen right now. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for future content. Now, if you are looking for something a little bit smaller, something more geared towards a solo or duo, you might want to click one of these 2 designs on the screen right now. Until next time, have a good wipe. Peace out.